Welcome to DEIJB Conversations. I'm Reverend Jackie Fernandez, and today we are going to focus on Pride, preparing for Pride Month, which is, of course, the month of June. And the topic for today is Pride Again, Refresh with Folks with Faith. And this is going to be a session updating you on all the resources that are available through Folks with Faith so that you can have time before June comes to get stocked up on merch if you're going to Pride Month. Or, excuse me, to your Pride Fest in your area, or if you are going to have an event at your church and you want to have some materials available for that, we'll review that. But also, I just want to really take you through the Folks with Faith website so that you can be more familiar with all of the amazing resources that are available for you there. And so we'll start here with one of our share graphics, which, of course, if you follow us on social media, Folks with Faith has a page on Facebook, an Instagram account, as well as TikTok and X, of course, formerly known as Twitter. We also have a private Facebook group, which creates a little more safety for conversations for the queer community. To participate in. But this particular graphic, of course, is very much celebrating and focused on our trans community, which is so important right now with so many states creating legislation that really harm the transgender community. Unspeakable joy. Be the love. Be yourself. These are the messages that we want to give our trans siblings. And so feel free to use any of the graphics that we have available. They're great to print on any materials or handouts that you're giving to people to use on your social media or on your websites to show that you truly are inclusive and supportive and affirming of the queer community. Folkswithfaith.org. Resources, resources, resources. We've got them for you. So let's go ahead and hop over to the website now. And I think I need to expand this window so you can see the whole site. So folkswithfaith.org. First and foremost, I just want to point out right here at the top, the Sabrina Ellis Fund. That is a scholarship fund that is specifically for the transgender community to support in any kind of healthcare, emergency housing, or financial support. And when I say healthcare, we're talking gender reassignment surgery, we're talking HRT support, any kind of services. What we know about the trans community is that they're highly underemployed and under-resourced. And so it has been a commitment of ours from the beginning to raise funds, to put money directly from a spiritual community into the pockets of our transgender siblings as a declaration of our radical love for the trans community. Okay, so one, if you want to support that and contribute to the fund, you can do that here on the website. Or if you know someone who could make use of the fund, you can absolutely send them to us. And we have an application process that's actually here available on the website. All right, this is your spiritual adventure. Excuse me. Find your people, deepen your connection with self and spirit, start a healing journey. I mean, don't we all want that, right? So we'll scroll down. What Folks with Faith offers. Folks Finder near you so that people can come here and they can find a Folks with Faith community near you. We offer opportunities for churches and ministries, centers, spiritual centers to chapter with us to create a Folks with Faith chapter at your community, or to simply utilize our resources to train your staff, your leadership, your board, your ministry leaders, and of course your congregation, so that you can truly become a competent presence of allyship for the queer community. And we've got supportive groups and then resources for growth and understanding. And I'm telling you what, the blog that we have on this website is just rich, rich, rich with resources. But I'm going to stay on task here and we'll keep going down the home page. A sacred space for all. Right here, our mission is to create and support safe, supportive, faith-informed, and inclusive spaces where individuals from all walks of life can explore LGBTQI+ spirituality, personal growth, and healing. Every individual here is called in to remember the challenges we have faced on our journey of self-discovery. We encourage every person to be their highest and best selves as they enter into community together. Group leaders in the Folks with Faith community play a vital role in upholding our commitment to diversity, respect, and ethical conduct. Folks with Faith groups and our affiliates partner have agreed to fostering a space that is inclusive, respectful, and supportive of all individuals on their unique spiritual journeys. We really needed to create space on the website to be very clear about what we are doing and what we are not doing. We are not trying to convert people to unity or to any specific ideology or theology. We are not trying to bait and switch, where we say that we are affirming of the queer community and bring them in and then try to pray away the gay. So you'll see that some time and language is very intentionally used here to assure the queer community that this is a safe space. And that the goal here is to help the queer community recover or discover their own divine authority, inner authority to think about spiritual things, to ask questions of ultimate reality. Which, if you think about it, people who have by and large been told from a very young age that they are an abomination, that they don't belong with God, that they don't belong in spiritual community or circles, are not going to develop in the same way spiritually as people who have always found a place of belonging or a seat at the table in church. So if there's a sort of at a young age, an original rejection from God, which we know is a rejection by people in the church, but is experienced as a rejection from God, um, just the spiritual development and opportunities to think spiritually are not going to take place in the same way that others who are invited in, right, into the presence of God. Who anyway, so I think you understand what I'm saying. Which is why it is so important that the Folks with Faith space is not about converting people to unity, but about giving people safe space to explore spirituality. Now, we all know and love unity. We know that unity has amazing spiritual tools. There's, a lot of freedom in unity to develop your own personal theology, to take what works and leave the rest. At the door, we have all of these sayings that are very supportive. And so, of course, our hope is that unity will be discovered in this process and of course engaged with. But beyond that, what's most important to us is that Folks with Faith creates its own spiritual experience for people to develop spiritually, to inquire, to explore, to try new practices, and ultimately to find their own sense of divine essence and divine expression. So, wanted to just take some time to be really clear about that. All right, so resources, and these are just quick links to take you around to the rest of the website. Sign up for our newsletter. You'll get lots of information there. We won't spam you. It's not too much. I think it's just right and keeps you updated with what's going on. I want to show you, I'm really excited about this, the comprehensive LGBTQIA plus calendar for 2026. I mean, come on. There are so many days to celebrate, so many dates to be aware of. And you're probably not going to pick all of them. You're probably not going to do something for all of them because just look at the calendar. But this gives you a quick reference guide so that you can look ahead and notice right here, March 31st, coming right up, International Transgender Day of Visibility. Tomorrow, March 20th, National Native HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. And there are links. These are all hyperlinked to give you more information. We look ahead to April, International Asexuality Day. Again, you may not, make a point of noting all of these in your church newsletter or on Sunday service, but to show that you have an awareness and to look for opportunities where maybe something really aligns with what you're doing on Sundays or with a class that you're offering or a workshop and you want to work it in. Also, in order to welcome the queer community, you've got to demonstrate some care and concern that is specific, right? And so if you can know, and even if it's just a quick mention from the platform or an acknowledgement from the platform, or maybe you have a slide show before service and you just pop a slide in that recognizes a specific day and, maybe has a quote that supports it. All of those little things go a long way to show people how truly dedicated you are and the depth of your support and allyship is for the community. You know, you'll notice here June 12th, many of us remember we were at convention in Overland Park when the Pulse shooting happened in Orlando, the nightclub shooting. So there's the Pulse Remembrance Day, anniversary of U.S. Supreme Court decision expanding protections to LGBTQ employees. You know, and again, these are all hyperlinked. October, you know, again, is LGBTQI History Month. You have National Coming Out Day on October 11th. Some of those you may already know and have some awareness of, but here's a whole slew of dates throughout the year. And just like any Pride month or month of celebration right now, March is Women's History Month. You know, February went through Black History Month. Um, September 15th through October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month. We want to make sure that we are celebrating these months, but that we are also doing things year round that show pride for whatever community we're celebrating. So this is a quick reference for you, a resource for you to use so that you can. I love August 9th, Gay Uncles Day. Here we go. So huge shout out to James Masters, LUT, program coordinator of Folks with Faith, for creating this quick resource for you. Then also a quick link to upcoming Folks with Faith events. So right there under resources, comprehensive calendar for 2026. How to Pride, guide for centers and churches. Free for you. Have you never done Pride before? Have you done it, but you're looking for maybe a way to do it more? You know, whatever. We've got some answers for you and some resources here for communities ready to do this well. Right here, how communities can move beyond good intentions and become visible allies to the LGBTQ plus community. Pride is more than a public celebration. It is rooted in protest, shaped by history and carried forward by communities who have navigated exclusion, resistance, and resilience. For many LGBTQ plus people, Pride holds both joy and tenderness at the same time. It may be a celebration of identity, and it may also carry the memory of religious harm. This is why it is so important for churches to be there. And you may be surprised if you have not ever been to a Pride Fest. You may be surprised how many churches are showing up there. The Baptists are showing up at Pride. The Presbyterians are showing up at Pride. Of course, the Methodists, and you'll see you there. But you may be surprised to learn that lots and lots of Christian denominations have resources for the LGBTQ community, and they are welcoming them in. And so, you know, we need to be right there with them because this is not new business for us, right? We've been doing this for a long time. And we can do it better. We can always improve our competency. We can always bring more people to the table to become more effective allies and to keep showing up for the queer community. Okay, so across 5 concise modules. So this is a course that you can take to learn how to do Pride really well. How to build a year-round practice of affirmation beyond June. So, you know, you want to, of course, create maybe some outreach opportunities for your congregation during the month of June. But then if that's really successful and you have new queer people coming to your community in July, let's say, are you ready to continue to demonstrate the affirming environment and supportive environment that you advertised in June? So this takes some year-round commitment, right? The layered meaning of pride. Do people in your community understand that pride is not just about celebration? It's not just about queer joy. It's also about resistance. It's also about queer rights. It's also about queer dignity. Common gaps in the LGBTQ plus literacy among faith communities, such an important part of this program. Why kindness alone does not automatically create safety. You might think, well, we love everyone, and so we're accepting everyone, and we're so glad you're here, and then not understand how to use pronouns, not understand language, you know, to understand the difference between someone who is non-binary and someone who is transgender or transmasc, or, you know, there's so many labels that seem to be changing all the time. And so is your community really staying at ease with using language? And I would say behind that, what's more important is your community comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I say that's more important because as things change, or, you know, some of our our congregants, I'll often hear, like, I just don't get it. I want to use the right pronouns, but I have a granddaughter and I don't understand, she keeps changing it and I just don't get it. And so it's not that the heart isn't there, it's that there are blocks, emotional perhaps, intellectual, cognitive, whatever, blocks from understanding. And so when we can improve the competency around these ideas, what happens is you may not know the latest and greatest label or term to use, but you're comfortable enough that you maybe have been through a few evolutions. And you can say, oh, well, I'm used to saying this, but, I'm not, what would you like me to use? What pronoun would you like me to say? Or, how can I say this better? So that, even in sort of a stumbling or an unknowing, there is an ease and a comfort. Like I don't have to be afraid of getting through a conversation with a queer person. And so the more we can create these opportunities for our communities to get comfortable being maybe uncomfortable, get confident, maybe grow confidence in just asking questions when I don't know. Like I just don't know. And that's okay. But I'm here and I'm open. And to understand that just being nice does not create safety, because if I'm like, well, I'm just going to say he because I'll just keep messing up if I try to say they. That does not create safety, right? That's an actual rejection and shutting down of someone's experience. So or if someone, you'll hear this a lot. They'll use the wrong pronoun. I'm so sorry, and they just like make a big deal out of it instead of just simply correcting and moving on. Say, oh, I'm sorry, I meant they. Um, and then just continue with the conversation. So that's going to create more safety for a queer person than having to sit with someone else's discomfort, right? Or unease. So that's part of this course, religious trauma and becoming a trauma-informed presence, the difference between intention and impact, right? I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but you did. Those kinds of things, like, seems basic, but to really put it in this, in this perspective and in this conversation is really important. Volunteer preparation and consent-based spiritual offerings. Leadership visibility and what it communicates. Do you have queer folks on your board? Is there representation in the leadership of your community and your ministry leaders? Because that's noticed. There are plenty of churches, not unity, maybe some unity, but there are plenty of other denominations who will welcome the queer community in, but will not allow them to have any leadership roles. So that may not be true at your community. It may just so be that there are no queer folks in any leadership roles. What's the difference to a queer person who walks into a church who doesn't allow queer folks to have leadership roles versus a church who allows it but doesn't have it? So you might be thinking, well, we have maybe only two gay men in our church and they don't want to be in leadership roles. Okay. But does your leadership wear pronoun stickers? Is your leadership comfortable in these conversations? Or do they have an awareness of how to create safety? Are they understanding the difference between intention and impact? So even that, if you're like, I can't just put a token person in leadership or force someone into leadership, we just don't have it. But we can really broaden the scope of what it means to have leadership visibility. Is your board attending Pride Fest? Maybe they're all straight, cisgender people on your board. Can you say to your community, we as a board are going to Pride Fest on Sunday afternoon. That's family day. We're after church. We're going to go to lunch, and then we're all going to head to Pride Fest together and would love for anyone in the community to come with us. That will send a message to those two gay men that I just, made up and referenced. They may not want to be in leadership, but to know that their church leadership, straight cisgender allies, are going to show up for their community. That communicates something very important. So don't worry if you don't have to get caught up in tokenism. Don't worry if you don't have the people. We talk about that very same thing when we talk about, people of color in leadership in your communities. And if you're like, well, we are all a bunch of white people and we don't have any, like, we can't just, the first black person that walks in is like, here, you're on the board. We can't do that. But there are other ways to create visibility with your leadership through allyship and through competent and effective allyship. So that's what I want you to hear about that. This course is not about performing inclusion, right? It's about practicing it. And I think so often, even in our unity communities, we end up accidentally or unintentionally performing inclusion because we love everyone and we welcome everyone. But we have to practice it, which means we're going to have to get a little uncomfortable and grow, because growth always creates a little bit of change and discomfort, in order to really do this effectively and well, and to put our talking into the walking. So, whether your community is new to Pride participation or seeking to deepen its impact, this training will help to move from goodwill to grounded action in principle, from a 1 or 2 day presence to creating sustained belonging. So this is going to help you over time. Like, this is not just about what do you do in June, but what do you do July through May. Okay? So course facilitators, James Masters, of course, and Renee Snodgrass. So you get to see that and you go right through. And you can just take it right here. This would be such a great assignment for your board members, for your staff, um, for your ministry leaders, to just say, hey, we're wanting to make an effort. Maybe this year we can't. There is no Pride Fest in our town. But what we're going to do, the action we are going to take, is we are all going to complete this course. And then after everyone's done, we're going to have a meeting, maybe a little lunch and learn, and we're going to talk about what ideas came to mind. What can we do in our community? Um, is it time to order pronoun stickers for Sundays? Is it, what is it that we can do? Can we have a Pride Month Sunday and invite a local LGBTQ group from somewhere and say, hey, we're going to have lunch after church. We would love for you to come and be honored. Not to make a circus of anyone, but to create a bridge, an opportunity for your communities to commingle, or say, hey, we want to sponsor 7 or 10 people to go to some event that is an LGBTQ event. There are lots of ways for your community to create presence and availability and support for the queer community, even if you are thinking to yourself, or if it's true that you don't have maybe a large queer cohort attending your congregation. You can then get outside of the building to do this. And then also, if you do have a lot of queer folks in your communities, which is true in a lot of unity communities, what are you doing in-house to take care of your folks? So this is a really great place to start. Really encourage you, your leadership, to do this, to let people at, other churches in your area know. I mean, even that kind of outreach could be, hey, we're doing this and we've invited 10 other churches. Maybe you're working on some other project together. We've invited 10 other churches to take this course too, so that we in our community can create a collective elevation in our competence for supporting the queer folks. Okay, so that's how we're going to do that. Let's see. I can get out of this now. Oh yeah, there it was. It just went away. Back to resources. Gender inclusivity. Click on that. And safety in centers and churches. Inclusive spaces for spiritual growth. Here we go. I mean, look at this. We can earn badges. So as your church and your leadership works through some of these courses that we have, gender inclusivity, DEI, accessibility, and more, you can earn badges and you'll be listed on our website. So then what happens is people can come here and see, oh, this is a gender inclusive church, and they're not just because they say it, they've actually had some education around it. This is a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion informed community, and they've been verified. So folks of faith can sort of verify you as a healing space, as faith informed, once you've taken some of these courses. So it's just another way to, put a feather in your cap, but one that represents action that you have taken as a community. You can find a group, you can start a group. Here's a guide to using pronouns. Great resource. I get asked at my church all the time, and we talk about this stuff a lot, but it's still, what I like to say is, pronouns are easy. If you can use your smartphone If you can get on Zoom, I remember during the pandemic, people would say, there's a lot of things I can't do at my age, but I can get on Zoom and talk to my grandbabies. You know, there's a lot of things we can't do, but pronouns are easy. Pronouns are easy. It's new, but anytime we are properly motivated to learn something new, that becomes so much easier. So even if we can just have a new thought about pronouns being confusing, the most wonderful, simple example I give when people say, well, they is plural and I just can't use it. It's like, well, when a person goes to the airport, they need to take their ID, their luggage, and I just did that. I'm talking about one person. We are used to doing that for the singular person when it's an unknown person, right? We are just not used to doing it when it's a known person. So if we can just sort of think through some of those things, we can flip some switches in our brain and then just practice. Just practice, practice, practice. And being comfortable. If you slip up, it's okay. I use she, they pronouns. One of my kids uses they, he, and, was born assigned female at birth. And I mess up, for 19 years, my kid was she. And for 3 years, they've changed their pronouns, and I've moved with it, and I don't always get it right. But what we do is we do our best, and when we mess up, we correct if we catch it, or just oh, and then just keep moving on. So the more we do that, the more comfortable we get with doing that. Using correct pronouns. There it is, right here, the headline. It's easy. Pronouns are easy. Easy, and we just got to keep telling ourselves that. That opinion, that attitude about it really changes our experience of it, as is true with anything, right? So here's lots and lots of information, probably more than you're going to ever need, but the more we read about it, the more comfortable we get with it, the more our understanding expands. You'll see lots and lots of examples here. All right, so you're going to walk away with this, an expert on pronouns. Glossary of queer terminology. You're not really sure what this language is, this word, gender identity versus gender expression, sexual orientation versus romantic orientation. Lots of opportunities to learn here. And then here's just a list of gender identity terms: agender, bigender, not cisgender. I keep hearing cisgender. What is that? Two-spirit. So here we just, we want you to have a place that you can go and get familiar. Chapstick lesbian. Oh, I've never heard that. And I was watching a movie and they referenced it. And, come right here. We've got all the goods for you. Very easy to find. And then we have spiritual directors. And many of these are Unity. You'll probably recognize Joni Lorraine there. Brenda Lynn Batchelor, and then some are not Unity. Dr. Tammy Spencer Helms, who actually will be the guest speaker for Folx here this month on the fourth Saturday of March, which is March 28th, and you all are welcome to join, and you can sign up right here on the Folks with Faith website. We do it hybrid, so there will be some people meeting at Unity Church of Overland Park, but typically we have more people on Zoom, and we also do offer, when it's requested, ASL interpretation. And so here you can see the badges that these spiritual directors, so they've been vetted by Folks of Faith, or you see Reverend Jean Marie Eck, but then you'll also see that these folks have earned the badges. So it's not just because they've said that they are, queer affirming. It's because we've vetted them, and they have also done the work to earn these badges. So that's how that plays out, and anyone can tap into this resource. And we thought it was very important to make it available here. And so we're so appreciative of each and every one of these individuals who have allowed us to list them on our website and have made themselves available to the queer community in such an important and sacred way. So this is the About page. You can read about that on your own. Our events, this is where you're going to sign up for our monthly calls. Last month was so great. We had AJ Setzer on honoring our animal companions, ritual, grief, and chosen family. And as I mentioned, here we go. We've got Dr. Tamise here, Spencer Helms, Black Modern Mystic, Post-Christian Faithfulness for Spiritual Fugitives. Come on, I know you want to go. 10:30 a.m. Central. And so you can register right here, learn more about Dr. Tamis there. In April, on the 25th, we've got Jay Pryor with Pryor Consulting, a new thought for our time. So you're going to want to come to these. Trust me. And allies are welcome. If you're like, I'm not part of the queer community, but that sounds really great, come on in. This, especially if you are a leader and you don't have queer people in your inner circle, this is an opportunity to put yourself in queer space and soak it up. And it, again, will help you be more comfortable and create more understanding and lived experience for you that you can then share firsthand. I was at this meeting and I heard someone say this, and wow, it really made me think about it, or, wanted to ask questions, or maybe helps you understand someone that is in your life a little better. And then our blog. I'm really excited to show you our blog because there is so much amazing, amazing information here. Many of our, if not most, or all of our guest presenters have written a blog. So, AJ here on what animals teach us about life, identity, and chosen family. We've got Black History is Queer History, Denials and Affirmations for Challenging Times. This is written by James Masters. You cannot pray identity away. This, again, about conversion therapy and healing spaces. So we've got things that are very specifically for queer folks on their spiritual journey, but then we have things that work for everyone and for those who are wanting to be more effective allies as well. So much good stuff here. And honestly, last year we did every month we followed the 12 powers. So you're going to see all this 12 powers stuff, and here are tags that you can search by topic. I mean, this is great material for your Sunday talks and even for classes or workshops that you want to do. So really give yourself the gift of spending some time here, just looking through. There's lots and lots, like flipping tables, the power of zeal, you know. You're doing some 12 power stuff and you want to be queer inclusive, all of these. I'm going to click into one of these because I want you to see how James did such a great job. So, introducing the power, telling you about it, a little bit about the disciple that is linked to the power. Um, Here we have Ruth, a feminine. So we've got the male perspective and the feminine perspective, and then we have Zeal beyond the binary. So a non-binary perspective on the power. And it just, boy, spend some time there and allow some new thoughts about our 12 powers to flow through our movement. I'm so excited about that. Okay, so there's your deeper dive and updated experience of the Folks of Faith website. I'll go back to our homepage, the resources that are available to you. You can get a login to connect to more courses that we have. Let me see if there is. No, I think but reach out to James so you can get a login. We were really looking at how we are making this stuff accessible to everyone. And so right now we are on a membership, sort of a tiered membership. And we're looking at maybe making more things available for free. We were supported by the LEAP grant, which has run out now. And so we are also looking for ministries who would be willing to add us to their list of people that they support. If your ministry is a tithing ministry and you're tithing out, please consider Folks with Faith. We serve all communities, both within Unity and New Thought. And then we have a few that are outside of the New Thought movement who are participating. We have a chapter in Africa. And, so we are a global movement, just like the Unity movement is, and would really appreciate your participation and support. Participate in Pride Fest. This is just a little slide to just give you some ideas. Of course, if there's a Pride parade in your city or town, walk in the Pride parade. Get your folks out there, carry a sign that has your church or ministry name, and show up for the queer community. Sponsor a booth. You can give away swag and literature, demonstrate love and affirm expression. I've seen Unity folks do free hugs or mom hugs. We know so many in the queer community have been rejected by their parents. And so to be that loving presence there can be just a real healing moment. And then have a plan for after Pride. Take that course so that you can have more information of what you can do throughout the year to care for the queer community who interface with your ministry, and encourage all congregants to attend or volunteer. Great opportunity for them to take their grandkids, who might be like, what? My grandma wants to go to Pride? Okay, grandma, encourage them to do that. This is a really wonderful opportunity for intergenerational, cross-generational participation. All right, so swag from Folks of Faith. We've got all kinds of swag for you that you can order. We have t-shirts, Fine and Divine. Um, this is just some pictures from our booth that we have. We have these bookmarks, Treat Everyone You Meet Like God in Drag, with QR code that takes you right to the Folks of Faith website. If you are a ministry who wants to be listed on our website, you can do that. So when we, went to that Find a Group, let me see if I can pull that up for you. Find a group. Just show you who's listed here. Here we go. Overland Park, Unity Spiritual Center in the Rockies, Folks of Faith, South Louisiana, Tucson, Oahu, Nairobi. So there you go. So if you want to see your church listed there, get on board, get with it. So that QR code will take people to there. So you can get bookmarks, you can get keychains, volunteer shirts, and condoms. And the condoms, let's see if you can see them. They have the Folks of Faith URL to the website. Here they are. They're colorful condoms. They come in, colors of the rainbow, and they have an affirmation on them. Pray hard. All right, so there you have it. And it's great conversation starter. People immediately like, what? This church is giving out condoms and saying pray hard. Like everything is spiritual. It's fun. It's funny. I usually, when I'm working the booth, will say, look, the only requirement is that you use it before it expires. Like, take good care. Um, and to just be open like that right there, wow, that busts a lot of walls that people have built up when they like, oh, this is a church, and they want to keep walking real fast right by. But wait, everybody wants free condoms, a keychain that has the Folks of Faith website on it, so on and so forth. So reach out to James if you want to order. He will, create a custom pack for you. We have like some that are kind of the worthy booklets. Will curate those for you from Unity Publishing, and help you get a package set up that really works for your community and what you think you would need at your Pride booth. Or for your church welcome table, really just do it up for Pride Month, to let people know, hey, we're here for the queer community. Okay, so that's it for today. Please join me next week. We're running a little late with our session. This is technically the second Thursday session. So next week is our fourth Thursday, which will reflect. We'll talk about. I want to hear, after you listen to this, maybe you take that course, make a plan to prepare for Pride Month and for post Pride. So what will you be doing this year that's different? How will you up your game or new? Or maybe you're going to do the same thing you did last year, but you're going to start planning earlier, or you're going to do it better or more expansively. So just spend a little bit of time, and even if it's just some like ideas and you want to bring them to the group and we can talk about it together. Maybe you have some questions, I have this idea, but I don't quite know how to pull it off. We can talk about it. And so make your plan. How will you be a beacon of light for the LGBTQ plus community at a time such as this? Right. And like I know in the state of Kansas, we're still reeling from anti-trans legislation that was passed that required anyone who changed the gender marker on their license has to change it back. Trans folks are supposed to use bathrooms that are the same, that reflect their sex assigned at birth, which is so problematic, because there are trans people who are completely passing for the gender that they have transitioned to and now are expected to go back into the other bathroom, which is not going to work for people. It just, okay. Other states are also following suit, doing worse things, and so it may be a year for you, depending on what state or community you're in, that you really focus on the trans community and showing love and support for them. I don't know, but this is a time to make the plan because June will be here before we know it. And if we start just doing a little bit, then once we get through Easter, we can go fully forward and make our really good plan for Pride and for supporting the queer community. Then in April, on second Thursday, April 9th, we will do our DEIJB inventory. So we'll take a breath and just see how we're doing with that and give you some resources to quiz your or to evaluate your community and how you're doing with DEIJB topics and conversations. So thank you so much for listening. I look forward to seeing you next week at 11 o'clock Central Time on Zoom, and have a wonderful day.